This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo.
All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it in, folks. So let's waste no time. Ooh, yeah, good deal, baby. Let's get to it. Story number 1, will cameras make a difference? The question in this next story is, can cameras decrease crime? So in this story is, can cameras decrease crime? Youngstown is now considering putting cameras in high crime locations. Now, at the moment, the discussion is about speed, but the local Vindicator headline also sparks the question of safety and how effective would cameras be in high crime areas? Would crime decrease? That's the question. Now, Youngstown has seen a spike in gun crimes lately, and officials are pointing the finger at repeated offenders. This story is still developing. Story number 2, local emergency crews remain busy, folks. Local emergency crews have been very, very busy lately. Now, this proves that safety, health, and crisis is at stake. It's all in the headlines. Jason Laurie has delivered a letter to the Mahoning County Commissioners Thursday, his office Thursday, requesting for assistance in starting a discussion with township, cities, and villages about the need for a county-wide ambulance service. Now, there is a lot happening inside of the story because some of it has to do with money and some of it has to do with the workload of local emergency crews. Now, what got this story in is how effective a county-wide ambulance service would be at this particular time, because people have been exhausted trying to save people's lives in emergencies. Now, the biggest concern now is, would it save money and how would it work? And that's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3, Lawrencetown Motor Corp is back in the headlines. Lawrencetown Motor Corp has been seeing a lot of ups and downs lately, folks. Now it's about the Foxconn deal. That's what the reports are about. Now, according to multiple reports, money is a top concern in this story because Lawrencetown Motors is set to release the Endurance in September. So let's hope they can meet the deadline. And let's hope Foxconn can deliver on the deal. Now, jobs and a piece of the electric vehicle market are all tied up in this story. Foxconn is just another piece of this complex puzzle. That's why story number 3 made it in this week. Story number 4. What another low voter turnout for the primaries tells us. Now, the question of already made it in this week. The question already made it in, folks, but the question that we are asking already made it in, but the results tell us something about voters. The questions that we wanted answers, now the voters have answered the question. And the fact is that voters have grievances, and many are not happy with how their areas are being run, but for some odd reason, they keep electing the same people in office. And that's what the question, and that's the answer. Now, it's just the primaries, but the focus is on low voter turnout. Now, and the fact that there is a lot to complain about locally. Now, after some results, some people are still scratching their heads. Like how does this person keep getting elected? Big question. Now, the truth is we keep getting the same outcome at the polls. The primaries, once again, tell us that when it comes to the right to vote, many are taking it day by day and just not showing up, not participating at all. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Voting is important, but some people are still choosing not to come to not to exercise their right to vote. Big headline. Story number 5. The local community is still trying to find its way. Youngstown. Big old Youngstown. After a dismal primary turnout, the local community still seems to be trying to find its way. Outside taxpayers are taking notice, and many are very concerned about the direction that Youngstown is taking. Now, first there is the academic goals. Youngstown is not meeting the grades on several fronts. There's also the crime issue. People are very concerned about safety. Population decline is also a top concern. For years, Youngstown has been trying to rebrand itself, but can't seem to shake its bad reputation. You also have the poverty issue. Without good paying jobs, it's hard for people to pay the bills. Now, every week a new issue pops up in the news, but overall, Youngstown seems to be a city still trying to find its way. And as more taxpayer money pours into the city, the story could become a top headline, because people want to know, why does Youngstown keep voting the way it is and nothing seems to be changing? So that means that there are a lot of people who may be uninformed, and that's why story number 5 made it this week. Big headline. Story number 6. Some things just don't make sense locally. Some things just don't make sense. This is a big headline. Now, people are talking about local people. They're talking about local people all the time. The way they dress, the way they act, the way they perform at work. And a lot of people who have paid their dues want better. That means they're not satisfied. They have some complaints. Now, here's some stereotypical topics that are taking place, like blacks keep talking about race. This is a fact, but blacks are killing and selling drugs to other blacks. This means their own ethnicity. This is a fact. Minorities keep talking about equality, but many still seem to be sticking to the same old habits, and not too much is changing. So these are facts. They say if you can't handle the truth, then don't talk about it. But these are facts. The people are talking about this every day. The majority, they are, and the minority all know what the problems are, but with today's cultural divides, many may never get the picture until it's starting to affect them. And that seems to be slowly taking place inside of the story. That means that people keep brushing problems under the rug. This includes both races, all ethnicity groups, but in a country that promotes freedom and justice for all, some people have some complaints, but they feel that they're not being met. And that's why story number 6 locally, this is just in the local community that people are talking about. And this is what things are happening, and it's creating a huge divide, because some people just don't want to hear it, and some people don't know how to change it. And everybody's talking about you, me, everything, but when it comes down to getting the job done, there's a lot happening in story number 6. That's why it almost made it to top 2 this week. Show love to all thy people, and the world will be filled with love. Whew, that's poetic. Oh yeah. Story number 7 in the top 2. Local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Woo-wee. Almost there, baby. Yeah. Ooh, I feel so vindicated, so enthused to share stories with you every week. And that's what I'm doing, to keep you informed so we can grow together, we can bond together, and most of all, we can show love together, baby. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. On Mother's Day. I love you, Mama. Story number 7. Youngstown is being rattled with gun stories. Every week, folks, death is in the news. Guns and politics and the backbiting of political fighting flood the pages of the Valley News, folks, every week. Youngstown is still being rattled by gun stories, folks. This is a fact. The 60 shots reported being fired at homes on the city's east side is just another story added to a long list of reasons why Youngstown residents want action on violence inside of the city. They want action now. Now, stories like these cause the city to lose residents. Business business deals and needed investments, which is not good. Youngstown needs the most economic development that it can get, and the entrepreneurs need good business locations. That's a fact. Now, as the rage continues, this story remains alive. That's why story number 7 made it this week. Big headline. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. Oh, yeah. You know, you can be anywhere in the world right now, but you're choosing to listen and learn something today. You're choosing to be informed. I don't want to hurt nobody. You don't have to like me. You don't have to love me, baby. But you can listen and watch me, baby. Dude, maybe we can grow together over time. Yeah. Ooh, there's a story of love for you. Story number 8. Local primary results are in, folks. Tim Ryan versus J.D. Vance for Senator Rob Portman, well, soon to be former Senator Rob Portman's Senate seat. And Governor DeWine is headed to November, folks. Now, the results are in, but the most amazing talking point in this story is turnout and awareness. Political activists still see flaws in the duties of citizenship, and many are starting to take action. This story has, because they're starting to take action by talking about voting. Now, this story has everything to do with investments and priorities. People keep screaming for change, and some even take action to their own hands by committing crimes, but many never, ever vote or even take the time to let the system work. This is yet another developing story, and the question is are Americans just not happy with the candidates, or are they just distracted by not showing up? That's why story number 8 made it to the top local this week. Yeah, it's voting, baby. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator with me, Brother West. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. I'm here with Kimberly Clinkscale. She will be our guest this week on the website, or our YouTube channel, or Listen Learn segment. She talks about being a mother in these hard times. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And please check out the interview this week. It'll be posted out there all the time. So check it out.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, I'd like to congratulate personally all the graduates out there. I remember my graduation and my prom. My cousin Shell paid for the limo. It was so amazing. And the girl that I wanted to go with, the prom, I was so creative. I had spray painted some of my cane and stuff. I was ready, and I got me a nice suit. And the girl I wanted to go with to prom with, she first she said no, and I wasn't going to go. Then she said yes, and then I ended up graduating from a school. I had to go to all these different schools when I was growing up, so I ended up graduating. But one thing the best advice I can give all the graduates out there is, it's if once you graduate, don't take a day off. I've never taken a day off. I've noticed that when you take time off and you think that nothing is going to happen or nothing is going to change, you end up finding yourself in a lot of trouble, folks. So if you can learn anything from the Mediator, is that once you graduate, you have to study, stay busy, find something to do. There's a lot of people out there that need you around, folks. So learn it from me. I've even made a song about it. At my prom, I wanted a girl. She said no at first, but then she thought about it. Little old me. Ooh, yeah. And then she said yes. And when I thought I wasn't gonna graduate from a school, ooh, I ended up graduating. Ooh, and now my destiny is telling a story to you. Congratulations out there, graduates. Woo! Ooh. Don't you feel, what they say, feel so joyful now? Somebody has sung a song for you. That's the only gift I got. If you want money, invite me to your graduation party. I'll give you 50 cents. How about that? Well, folks, let's waste no time. Oh, yeah, I'm revving up. Let's get to it. Story number 1. What we can learn from an 84-year-old employee. Speaking of graduation, folks, a 100-year-old man has set a record by staying at the same job for 84 years. I wonder what his graduation was like, or what his graduation picture looks like. Walter Orthman, of Brazil, now owns the world record for being employed at the same place, the same job for 84 years. Congratulations, Orthman, you made it to the top 8, baby. Ooh, yeah. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. The chess pieces are moving fast across the global chessboard, folks. We may want to take notice. This world that we live in, the world is watching Russia, the raging bear, and the world is watching America. But one headline reads that the world is choosing not to punish Putin. Some are just not staying and getting involved at all. Now, so as the world takes a seat while watching the atrocities, the only thing that we can say, the other part of our life, the other part that we don't see, like Father Time, he knows how the history and how the future will judge the war in Ukraine and America, like every other war across the world. And he will see how this all turns out. Father Time will see how this turns out, because America has chosen to lend a helping hand to Ukraine. The Biden administration has gone on the record by providing over $33 billion in aid money to Ukraine. Now, the truth is that the world has seen harsher crimes and stood idle in times. The world, but not America. Now, but just like any war, other nations are sitting, watching, and positioning themselves to make better moves on the global chessboard. So as America chooses to aid, the other world continues to sit back, and some of them even plot and scheme. Now, the key is to zoom in on what is taking place on the phones by world leaders. And as the world struggles, humanitarian aid workers are picking up the broken pieces. That's why story number 2 is so important. That's why I made it this week. Story number 3, why many are choosing a different path in American culture. Unlike no other nation in the world, folks, America is fast-paced, and in the blink of an eye, you could get swept away by the raging business bulls or fall under a devastating love spell. So what path do you take to fulfill the American dream? That's the question. Now, recent stats show that although prosperous, a lot of Americans still have a lot of debt. Now, these debt numbers are so bad that some states are now requiring a financial literacy test before students graduate. College debt is real, folks, and there is proof that the majority of the students who sign up for college have very little knowledge of financial aid or college debt. This is becoming a well-known thing in America. Now, if debt is the American way, some people are now trying to do whatever it takes to avoid it. That even means skipping out on an education. That's why story number 3 made it in this week. Story number 4. Police stories are staying in the news after a former Philadelphia police officer was charged in the murder and shooting of a 12-year-old boy. Police stories are back on the radar. The more these stories make headlines, the more the pressure will be on the largest protection force in the world to make some changes. The Justice Department has been under daily pressure due to the continued rise in incarceration rates and the continued push to do everything to change America's brutal culture. Now, the key to getting through this story is to try and find the good in a country that has been through so much, folks. Well, you got to stay optimistic. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the media. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. Go to the website. It's method.inc.com. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week, folks. Abortion is in the news again, and it's Mother's Day. How ironic. How odd. And when I first I was at a fundamentalist church when I went through some relationship problems. I ended up getting a divorce, and my first independent movie was about a girl. I went out to find an actor, and I said, whoever shows up, this is the person that's going to play the part. A girl named Shayra ended up showing up, a Latino girl. She ended up playing the part of this movie. And this was my first film. It was about religion. It was about Christianity. And it was about a girl who gets a chance to give life and bring life into the world. She ends up being raped, and she chooses to give life. And this kid ends up growing up to be something, and he ends up growing up with the gift to dream. That was the concept. And but I don't regret my first film being this, because I don't know, when my life is over, I don't know who this little small project could influence, the story, just the concept. And I was always inspired by my own birth. My mother, the story goes from what my uncle told me, is that I was dropped off at the hospital, and my mother ended up miraculously being successful, and I was born. So this Mother's Day, I couldn't help but thank her. I thank all the mothers out there, because women do have to make a choice, and but the life inside of them, they don't know what that life could blossom out to be. A lot of and my mother's life was so hard because she had been in this position before, and miraculously I had came out. And through the help of Northside Hospital and an incubator, I survived, and I'm here, So if I could tell anybody out there with all this stuff going on, I mean, is that you just don't know. It's a good joke. There's a joke inside there somewhere too, because you can go spread your legs and do the motion in the ocean and do the motion in the cushion, and you can be thinking about yourself, but you just don't know. But when you gamble with life, you can't lose, because we need people. Some people change. Some people make amazing decisions that could change the world, and we all have something in us that could make the world better. We all learn. So, and just like my bad cousins, if they weren't around, I could have been in a ditch somewhere dead, because a lot of them saved me. So every child, employers, you don't know whose girlfriend you're taking away. You don't know whose wife. So all this has to do with when we choose to not let life come into the world. That's why this is so important. That's why this is Mother's Day. I'll be thanking my mother again and sacrificing to get her through her golden years, folks. It's okay to be a mama's child. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, folks, enough talk. All I can say is that love is sentimental, because I'm here as the mediator, baby, because of you, Lisa West. Lisa West, baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as they throw tomatoes, I gracefully leave the stage smiling, because I got a chance at life. Well, folks, let's waste no time. Oh, yeah, let's get to it. Woo. Story number 5. What's in the $33 billion Ukraine aid package? $20 billion in military aid and security assistance. $16.4 billion for the Defense Department, $8.5 billion in economic assistance, and $3 billion for humanitarian assistance and to fight food insecurity. This is all in the $33 billion Ukraine aid package. The American engagement in a global conflict debate is tied all into this story. That's why story number 5 made it this week. The money. Everybody's talking money and aid. Big hit. Story number 6. Roe versus Wade and a decision about abortion that could change everything. Somehow, some very important Supreme Court documents got leaked, and now women are at the centerpiece of a story that's been in the headlines for a long time, and that's abortion. The decision, the choices that we make, the choices we make to get love, and then all of a sudden we don't want to do it, but we get raped and we don't want to do it. So all that stuff has to do with choices. Now, stories about abortions are so sad that this story amplifies an all-out approach to human character and the moral responsibilities of mankind. Now, if we are here to procreate, the data is showing showing that America has blood on its hands when it comes to abortion. And like all life, no one knows where that potential energy has gone except God himself. So nobody knows where all that life that could have came into the world has gone. Now, I just pray that he forgives us all, because when a mother makes a choice to abort, her outlook on the world is everyone's fault, especially hers. God help us all. Let's hope that we remain optimistic. That's why story number 6 made it this week. Story number 7 in the top 2. International headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Do you want to hear a story? Do you want to feel loved? Tune in to me, the Mediator, to keep yourself informed. It's good for you, folks. Let's get to story number 7. Story number 7. What role does other countries play when war or conflict breaks out? And is it fair? What role does everybody play? Now, America has been there in almost every global conflict. America has been there, folks. A nation that has so many internal issues and problems for some odd reason seems to get caught up in the world's business, and now that some big enemies have been accused of taking advantage of this, the big question emerging, the big question on all of this is fairness. This is what's in the headlines. Over 900,000 lives lost, American lives lost to COVID-19, and many more lost in wars. America is still in the war to save itself. The key question in this story is what country is actually playing the good guy. That's why story number 7 is so important. We will find out. But at the moment, it seems like America may have some problems, may have some dirt, some skeletons in the closet, but it seems like America is playing the good guy. Well, we'll find out. That's why story number 7 made to the top 2 this week. Big hit. Story number 8 at the top. International headline and developing news story that made it this week. Oh, for you, come to the 8 ball. Come to the 8 ball. Dance, dance, dance. Woo. Yeah, 8 ball, baby. Yeah, we got the 8 ball, the top 8 story. The economic watch continues, folks. The Fed is making some major moves when it comes to the interest rates, and market watchers are still doing everything that they can to stay in the game. Inflation, the price of natural gas, food, and oil have continued to remain at the heart of this story after Biden announced that the national debt had decreased. Let's see how true that is. Now, analysts will be homing in on what is fact and fiction in the still ongoing money crunch. Gas prices are still about above $4 a gallon in many parts of America, if not all. So money is at the top this week, folks. Well, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I hope you got something on today's program. I always get something done doing the research as usual. I like to thank all the news outlets, the media, the people in the front lines, the journalists. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle, stuck in the middle. If you want to show some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Folks, thank you for tuning in this week. Have a good week. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good week, everybody. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just for you. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the media this week with me, Brian West. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.